Bup bup. Bup bup. We're back! Hold on. Just a quick little refresh. Alright. There we go. Button! We're starting Hakuoki's route. Or well, we're continuing Hakuoki's route actually. Let's see. Chapter 1, 2. Alright. I think tomorrow we're gonna finish this part, I think, at this point. Depends how much we skip. And now... Oh, right, we haven't even gotten that far. We haven't even done this dinner scene! Da 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 da. We have seen this option before. Now to skip. Not even that far into it, I went to skip territory! I'll get there. How did I just punching Hakuoki across the room? On and on and on. Alright. Hijikata decided to come back, and we decided, you know, let's go find Hijikata and ask things. Only to be trapped by God fucking damn Takuya! Don't know if I was understood, but that was something. Yes, I know. I should be careful, especially Takeda, who's a fucking thing. Anyway, ask Hijikata if we can help around the compound is the correct answer. I have seen this. I don't remember if we've done this. Hold on. I don't have memory. Let's go back. Everything odd appears. I looked down into the bucket full of water and my face stared back, sporting a boy's haircut. I shot my cleaning rag into the water and the image disappeared behind 1,000 tiny ripples. I really don't remember this scene. I hope I'm doing this right.
おや、どうかしたかい、雪村君。疲れたなら部屋に戻って休むといい。お湯がもうすぐ沸くと思うから、温かいお茶を持って行ってあげよう。
Oh, no, I'm fine. Besides, I told you I wanted to help.
すまんな。何分男女体のせいか、うちの連中は不精なものが多くてね。助かるよ。
He smiled and squeezed his washcloth into the bucket. Though I was embarrassed to say it aloud, Inoue wore a pleasing smile that suited him well.
私の顔に何かついているかい?
Oh, no, nothing. I'm honestly just happy to contribute to the house. Almost on cue, one of the soldiers appeared and called Inoue's name.
井上さん、山崎さんが呼んでましたよ。巡察日程について話があるとか。
Ooh. Oh. My brain has remembered something. I need to go check the mailbox after this. And I need to see if I got my Saito charm thing, because apparently it was delivered somewhere that wasn't here.
ああ、そういえばうちの組は来月の担当日がまだ決まっていなかったね。ではすまないけれど、少し待つよう山崎くんに言ってくれないかい？もう少しで雑巾掛けが終わるから。
Well, you know it. I can handle the rest on my own. We're almost done anyway, and I know where the cleaning supplies go.
雪村くんがそう言うなら、そうさせてもらおうかね。
He wiped his hands and stood up, but before he left, Inoue bent over me and whispered,
もしあんたの事情を知らない大使が来たら、すぐ部屋に入りなさい。面倒なことになりかねないからね。
As Inoue left, I went back to cleaning the floor. Any passerby would likely avoid me, but more trouble was the last thing I needed. It wouldn't hurt to be extra careful. I was pushing myself to work faster when...
なんだ?
Heisuke, what are you doing with that sake?
ああ、いや。外に酒でも飲みに行くかどうか考えてたとこなんだけどさ。それより、お前こそ何やってんの？部屋から出てもいいのかよ。
I received approval of Hijikata-san and Inoue. I don't have anything to do, so I asked him if I could help clean the floor.
雑巾がけって、お前まさか自分からやるって言い出したのか？物好きなやつだな。俺ならきっと頼まれたってやらねえぞ。面倒だし。
面倒だし。Really?
そうだよ。変わってんなお前。
He laughed, but his eyes were still thin and sharp, like he was watching carefully for me to make a mistake or slip and reveal some hidden truth. He might have resembled a kid, but Heisuke had a maturity and swagger that eased any doubts one may have had about him being a Shinsengumi captain.
でさ、 なんでわざわざ雑用なんてしてんの？頑張れば処遇が良くなったり、俺たちから信用されると思ってるとか？
Damn, he just straight up asks us. All right.
だとしたらそりゃ思い違いだって。黙って部屋にいた方がいいんじゃねえの？
No, that's not it at all. I just wanted to do something. You know, I came to Kyoto to look for my father. All I've done so far is sit around and wait. Doing nothing all day is eating up any hope I have, forcing me to run thoughts over and over again.
悪い。なんつうか、まずいこと聞いちまったよな、俺。ほら、この酒あるから泣きやめって。悪いこと忘れるには酒がいいって言うし。
Hesuke! He shoved the bottle out toward me. Thank you. I'm kind of in the middle of cleaning, though. I don't really think I should drink right now.
そっか。わかった。じゃあ、俺一人で飲むとすっかな。
He slumped against the wall and wallowed in a boyish display of self-pity, drinking by himself. We have to drink with him! Come on! Hesuke, don't tell me you're going to drink here.
大丈夫だって。これくらいで酔うわけないから。
That's not really what I meant. His display reminded me that even the most mature of us were prone to such boorish moments. However, it really wasn't my place to judge him. Hold on. There we go.
なんだよ。じゃあどういうことだって？
わかりませんか？雪村くんは昼から酒を飲んで東堂くんが怒られないかと心配してくれているんですよ。
Hey, Sanan-san. Oh, Sanan-san. Hello. He glanced over at me but said nothing. Before, he may have greeted me, but now...
それより東堂くん、鬼の副長が君を探していましたよ。
土方さんからの呼び出し？なんか嫌な予感が。
おそらく君の予想通りでしょうね。諦めて絞られてきなさい。
仕方ねえ。行ってくるとすっか。あ、そうだ。
ん？
いや、三男さんがいてくれりゃ平気か。お前も頑張れよ。
Thanks? He awkwardly shrugged, then headed away. It was worrisome, though. His saunter was weighted by a defeated slump. Sanan-san, what did Hijikata-san want to talk to him about?
ああ、東堂くんはお叱りを受けに行くんですよ。今日は土方くんの虫の居所が悪いようでしてね。
Did you just send him into a death trap, Sanan? Oh no. Did he do something?
ええ。ここのところ大使がたるんでいるようで、その筆頭として普段よく遊び歩いている東堂くんが目をつけられたというわけです。
Yeah, you just sent him into the lion's den.
まあ、大使への見せしめの意味も込めて、数日間の謹慎処分といったところでしょうか。
Really? That seems a little harsh.
ほう。では今まさに酒を飲もうとしていた人間をどうかばえ
I can't. I can't.
東堂くんたち3人は普段から遊び歩いていますしね。いい薬でしょう。
Three of them. So we're talking about the Baka trio then. Did Hijikata call Nagakura and Hanade too? Yeah, we are talking about the Baka trio.
いえ、あの2人は今は留守のようです。まあ、戻ってきたら同様の処分が下されるはずですが。
Ha. Oh. His words were followed by a long, stiff silence. I felt like I had to say something, so I spoke up. I don't usually see Heisuke all alone like that. Most of the times he's with Nagakura or Harada.
それはきっと君のことが気になったからでしょうね。
But he just turned away and walked. Worries? About me? Had he been worried I might do something? Was he just keeping an eye on me? Sanan-san's suggestion implied there was more than he was letting on, but I couldn't quite place it. After all, he was surprised to find me outside my room, so he wasn't there to supervise me. Maybe he came to see how I was doing. Later that night, warm under my covers, my mind fluttered busily, preventing me from resting. Heisuke was later sentenced to house arrest. I was also informed that his food portions were to be decreased, so he wasn't present at dinner. He must be getting really hungry. The more I thought about Heisuke, though, the more worried I became. What was it he said?
いや、三男さんがいてくれりゃ平気か。お前も頑張れよ。
As I played the words back in my head, I grew more and more convinced that he had been worried about me and came to check up on me. I was essentially confined to my room, and I could only speak to certain people. Was he so worried that he was willing to keep me company when all the others were out? Alright, that's it. I've made up my mind. I rolled over, stood up, and grabbed my jacket. I tiptoed down the hallway until I reached the room where Heisuke was being kept. After checking for any nearby patrollers, I whispered as loud as I dared. Heisuke?
この声、ひょっとして。
Ah, I need to tell you something. Is that okay?
いいかなってお前、いいわけないだろう。勝手に部屋を抜け出して謹慎中の大使を訪ねるなんて誰かに見つかったら。
I hear footsteps.
おい、さっさと中入れ。
Before I could even react, his door flew open and an arm shot out to pull me inside. I was still trying to figure out what was going on when he threw a blanket over me. What?
いいからそれかぶってじっと隠れてろ。
I wasn't sure if he could see it, but I nodded. We waited in breathless silence for the footsteps to move past before I finally poked out my head. Heisuke frowned over my head, watching silently.
何してんのさお前。土方さんとかに見つかったらどうする気だったんだよ。俺に用なら伝言を頼むとか、謹慎が解けるまで待つとか、いろいろ方法があるだろう。
Sorry, but this couldn't wait. I can deal with the consequences, though. I was worried. I think is the correct answer. Yeah, it's worried. I was worried about you, Heisuke.
俺のことが
You came to visit me this afternoon because you were worried about me, right? Well, I'm just doing the same thing. I was just worried you might be sad or something. Or maybe hungry.
あのな、謹慎って言うならお前だって同じようなもんだし。
Well, I guess you have a point.
よく考えなくてもそうだろう。たくそんな状況なのに人の心配するって呆れたっつうかお人よしっつうか。
I'm sorry. I didn't have a response, so we sat in silence.
でもその気持ちは嬉しいけどな。
He smiled.
で、さっき今じゃないとダメだよって言ってたけど、何の用事で俺のところまで来たんだよ。
Oh, right. Good. It didn't get squished. I opened the wrapping to show him what I brought, and Heisuke's eyes lit up.
握り飯
Well, they're leftovers from dinner.
これのためにわざわざ危ない橋渡ってここまで来たのか
Well, yeah, I thought you might be hungry. For several long moments, he just stared at it. Was he really so perplexed? Over a rice ball?
お前がせっかく俺のために作ってくれたものなんだよな。食べないでお前を追い返してもここに来た事実が消えるわけじゃねえし。それに
His face broke into a wide smile.
何よりすげえ腹減ったし。
As he spoke, he reached out, plucked the rice ball from my hand, and bit off a piece.
うわ、うまっ、すっげえうまい。これ何入ってんだよ。
He displayed a great talent in taking large bites while still speaking full sentences. Heisuke! Is it really that good? I mean, it's just salt and pickled plums.
そっか。でもこんなうまい握り飯今まで食ったことないかも。
Really? Well, I'm glad you like it. He ate ravenously as if he'd never eaten a meal in his entire life. He couldn't contain himself. I had a feeling it had less to do with my cooking skills and more attributed to him being starved, but I still felt guilty for not putting in more effort. In no time at all, he'd finished it off and was licking stray grains of rice from his fingers. He thanked me for the food, then made me promise never to do it again before I left his room. His fire-eyed expression from when I'd given him the rice bowl made me giggle as I walked to my room.
Oi.
Ah, fuck. I know that voice. Fuck. I froze. The voice came from around the corner, out of sight. Of course. Ah.
おいお前、そんなところで何してやがる
The fuck is grand in this case. Ichikata-san.
質問に答えろ。ここで何をしてた
His eyes pressed against me like a pair of icy rods. I swallowed and hid the rice ball wrapper behind me. No. What could I say? Anything I said could possibly implicate Heisuke. Unfortunately, it seemed like Ichikata already knew whose room I visited.
大使だったら切腹もんだ。
Ah! His vengeful scowl appeared like a demon in the darkness.
さっさと寝ろ。二度と余計なことするんじゃねえぞ。
Of course. I'm so sorry. I ran from my room as fast as I could. My heart pounded as I clambered back into bed. That was way too close. He let me go this time, but I saw in his eyes that I'd been in serious trouble if he caught me again. That I'd be in serious trouble. Oh my God. I crawled deeper under the covers and desperately tried to think about something else. I couldn't deny that I crossed the line. But even after that terrifying encounter with Hichikata-san, I couldn't regret it. I didn't regret it. Ugh. I hadn't been able to do much, but it seemed to have really cheered him up. It was the first glimmer of hope refracting onto me since coming to the Shinsengumi compound. June. June 1864. The fourth year of the Bankyu era became the Ganji Ganen, and summer sweetly blossomed. We can skip through this. Da 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 da.
副長
はい
Da da da. We're gonna get permission to go outside. Da 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 da.
そんだが
Da 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 da. We get to choose what we do.
俺
So what should I do? Join them on the rounds.
な
Oh, that means we get the scene. Okay. I'm gonna take a quick BRB. I'll try to be quick anyway. I come back and see no one. Ugh. Hello. You have arrived at the part where I have to skip everything. I'm skipping everything because we've seen this twice. Oh, me too. I'll be watching. And then I get to start tomorrow at 9. Ooh, skipping. Skip. So what exactly is happening today? Anything? Okay, if Splatoon 3 is going down, message me. Ooh, VTuber stuff. Thank you. I suppose my cutoff would be 1 AM. If it was happening, that's my cutoff. Are we done with this scene? Tell me I'm done with this scene. No, not is the correct answer. Is this chapter over? Yes. I'm sorry you've arrived at the skip fest. I've done this game too many times. It's just, I have to skip. Still no news. And we're gonna have to make a choice of not looking or looking. Are we gonna go look for our father, or we're not gonna go look for our father? I don't know. Our choice is we're going to go search for our father. Let's see. Huh. Anyway. Huh. Feels like there are more people walking around than usual. Which one is this? The streets of Kyoto are packed with people shuffling into the shops and businesses all over. Oh, I know what this is. Oh, okay, we gotta skip. As much as we like Okita's presence, we're not going to. This is the lead up to the Ikeda Inn, isn't it? This is what this is. We're asking around, do some Ronin, Okita goes and deals with him, and we get swept away by the crowd. Only to be swept away to a back alley where we find Mazu. Okita's here to deal with shit, and we somehow end up getting them information on the Choshu. Which they haven't been able to do in months, despite Yamazaki and Shimada's help. In disguises. But we did it somehow. Please don't shout at me, son. It's time for a raid. It's time for a raid. Which means this is when we go with Kondo-san's group. Come on. Skippy. I feel like shit, but we're going. We're gonna keep going. Hi, Takeda. We don't like you around here, Takeda. You give us the most creepiest fucking shit ever. And you're when we get to wherever route you have. It still gives me chills thinking about Takeda in Evil's route.
会津中将をわずかに浪したい新選組戦意のため宿内を改める
Kondo is here. Anyway, skipping. They're gonna get into fight. They need some backup, and oh no, Okita and Heisuke are injured, and now we run into the place that is full of men fighting with katanas. And now we look for Heisuke. I had to look for Heisuke. He was always looking after me, so it was time I returned the favor. I looked around the inn. What? Out of the darkness, a Ronin appeared, his sword at the ready, headed straight for me. As his sword swept down, another interposed itself between us, Nagakura's blade.
お前の相手は俺なんだよ。勝手に目移りしてるんじゃねえ。
Thank you, Shinpachi. The Ronin gurgled wetly as Nagakura drove his sword deep into the man's stomach. Blood exploded everywhere. Ew. I felt my throat suddenly rise. So much blood.
こんなとこに呼んじまってすまねえな。奥に平助がいる。行ってやってくれるか。この先には誰も行かせねえから、平助の面倒見てやってくれ。頼んだぜ。
With that, he turned around and brought his blade up to meet another Ronin's. Got it! I'm going to go to Heisuke just as Nagakura asked. I turned and ran off through the battlefield the Ikeda Inn had become. As soon as I got to the top of the second floor, I found him. Heisuke? You're hurt! I blinked and looked around. He blinked and looked around, almost as if he couldn't see me. Perhaps it was all the blood running from the wound on his forehead. Yeah, that would be it.
バカ! お前なんで来たんだよ!
What? What do you mean? I'm here because I was worried about you. I thought maybe I could help.
バカ! 危ないだろ! 俺の心配とかしてる場合じゃないし!
Maybe, but that's a serious injury.
別に大したことないし、こんなの唾でもつけときゃ治るっつの。
As he spoke, he turned around, his sword held in a ready position, prepared to defend me. But he was so weak, I could see that he only kept his grip on... Brain. But he was so weak, I could see that he could only keep his grip on it with great effort. That's because there's a word fucking wrong in this sentence, isn't it? The Ronin across from us, on the other hand, was as silent and calm as a great statue. Wait. Things didn't seem right. Suddenly, I realized what it was. The Ronin had no sword. I didn't have the time to try and figure out what that meant, though. I had to help Heisuke. We had to do something about the Ronin. With grim determination, I laid my hand on the hilt of my sword. He saw me move, and Heisuke's eyes went wide. I'll fight too, then. I might not be able to help much, but I can watch your back. He looked stunned for a second, but then his mouth split into a grin.
俺の見えない目の代わりになるとか。無理無理。お前には5年くらい早いって。
5 years? Are you sure 5 years? Wait, 5 years. Hold on a second. Alright. It wasn't really the answer I'd expect to hear, and I couldn't help but laugh at it. So she laughed as I laughed? Alright. The Ronin looked at us and sighed.
私には戦う理由がありません。
What? What did he mean?
君たちが引くというのなら、むやみに命を奪うつもりはありません。
He was letting us go? Considering the situation we were in, that was quite a favor. But how could we believe his word?
俺らには理由があるんだっての。長州の奴らを見逃すわけには。
Heisuke wobbled. Oh dear. Heisuke? He could barely stand.
決めつけは歓迎できません。私は長州に組みするものではありませんから。
ならどうして池田屋なんかに。
His words were forced, as if it took all of his effort to speak, and the tip of his sword was beginning to shake. He showed no fear, but his injuries were serious. He couldn't put any more power into his arms to the point of not being able to hold his sword.
命に関わる怪我ではないはず。早く手当てをするといい。
The Ronin took one last unreadable look at us and then turned around to leave.
待ちやがれ。
Heisuke! He began to run after the Ronin, but he slipped in the fresh pool of blood and crashed into the floor. Oh, okay.
さあ、次に会うときは覚えとけ。
He made a few more grunts that sounded like attempts at further curses, then stumbled and collapsed unconscious. I need to stop the bleeding! Quickly, I tore off a section of my sleeve and pressed it against his forehead. Just as the man stated, it looked as though the blow only tore the skin, although it penetrated through to his skull. Whoa, okay. At last, I felt myself relax. We were still in danger, but Heisuke's wound didn't look fatal. That was when I saw the head guard lying on the floor. Huh? It must have been Heisuke's, but it had been cracked cleanly in half by something. Their fight must have been awfully intense. I was starting to feel dizzy from the stench of blood, but Heisuke needed me. I couldn't give up. Yeah, that head guard being cleaned straight in half. Finally, the sun rose from the black sky. The raid itself had only lasted 2 hours. But for me, at least, it had felt far longer. There had been 20 Imperial nationalists at the Ikeda Inn. The Shinsengumi had killed 7 Ronin and injured 4 more. I learned later that, with the help of the Aizu Domain and the Kyoto Judiciary Commissioner, they arrested 23 people. The owner of the Ikeda Inn had also been arrested for trying to help the Choshu rebels escape. The Shinsengumi had won an incredible victory, fighting against superior numbers in enemy territory, but they paid dearly for it. Okita had taken a blow to the chest and lost consciousness. Heisuke had been cut on the forehead, and the bleeding refused to stop. Nagakura had injured his left hand, although he was left standing. One of the Shinsengumi soldiers lost his life in the inn's rear entrance, and 2 others were severely injured there as well. It didn't seem likely that they would survive. The Kyoto Military and Judiciary Commissioners also fought the Choshu Ronin. With the successful resolution of the Battle of Ikeda Inn, the Shinsengumi had, at last, made a name for themselves. It looked as though the peace in Kyoto had been protected. Never could I have imagined what the ultimate result of their victory would be. Water. End of July 1860. Is this? Yeah. Okay. Yes, this is the scene that I think of just by the tell of the sound effect. I know what scene this is. Although I should know beforehand. Alright, skipping this. We have seen this every single route, and we will see it every route after this. Button mash, button mash, button mash, button mash, button mash, button mash, button mash. Nagakura's voice is so fucking loud. Bye-bye. And this we can skip as well. Actually. Oh, we're skipping a lot now. Okay. I will at least do the scene that comes after this choice. Because it involves Heisuke. We choose to stay behind. Do I do this scene? Fine, okay. Well, nope, that's not what I meant to do. Da 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 da. This is where I meant to go. Alright, let's do this one and the next one. A few days passed. Your medicine's ready. I was carrying medicine and some hot sake. The medicine was Ishida medicinal powder, which was manufactured by Hijikata-san's family.
Soji to Heisuke ni nomasete yatte kure. それから三男さんにもだ。
Sanan-san's eyebrows rose with the mention of his name.
おや、私も飲むんですか？私の傷はもう塞がっていますよ。
試してみましょうよ、三男さん。この薬って何にでも効くらしいですから。
Sanan-san rolled his eyes but reached over to take his portion of medicine and sake. He had been telling the truth, though. His injuries had healed, at least as much as they were going to, but his arm still refused to work properly. It was slowly becoming clear that it would probably never work properly again.
石田三役は熱燗で飲むのが粋だよな。羨ましいぞお前ら。
羨ましいなら飲めばいいだろ。新八さんだって怪我人じゃねえか。
酒は飲みてえが、残念なことに俺の怪我はもう治っちまってるんだよな。
Nagakura was injured at the Ikeda Inn, but he recently declared that he was completely healed, despite the fact his wounds still looked painful. This man will fight through anything. I'd heard he had convinced Hijikata-san that his wounds weren't as bad as Okita or Heisuke's.
しかし、宗司と東堂君が怪我をするとはね。
あれは池田屋が暗かったから、普段の戦いなら遅れは取らないって。横合いから急に殴られたんだよ。おかげで8金なんて真っ二つだしさ。
拳で8金を割るか。随分と豪気な奴がいるもんだ。
Heisuke muttered something bitter and angry under his breath, but Harada just laughed.
あとなんだっけ、宗司から逃げ切ったやつもいたしな。
Oh, Okita only smiled quietly as Nagakura gestured towards him. He doesn't like the fact of this, does he? I can see it in his eyes.
次があれば絶対に逃がしませんよ。次に勝つのは僕ですから。
Everyone began sharing their experience at the inn. Saito, however, remained silent. Is there something bothering you? I kept my voice low, so as to not to interrupt any of the other men in their conversations.
宗司らを負傷させるほどの実力者があの夜池田屋にいた理由を考えていた。 長州のものではないと言ったそうだが、池田屋も人払いはしていたはずだ。池田屋の人間と老子たちの目を盗み、何らかの目的で侵入したか。目的は違えども行動を共にしていたのか。今確実にわかるのは、奴らが相当の実力者だということだけだ。
The sliding door suddenly flew open as Saito finished his sentence and Kondo-san appeared.
会津藩から伝令が届いた。
Oh no. It's the clip of death that's going to come here now, isn't it? Oh no, this very loud sound effect. As all conversation ceased, eyes turned to Kondo-san.
長州の襲撃に備え、我ら新選組も出陣するよう仰せだ。
Here it comes. Here it comes. A cheer went up from everyone present. Wait, did it not?
ついに来たか。待ちかねたぜ。
Never mind, it didn't happen. No, thank God. I was not prepared to have my ears be blown out.
残念だったな、平助。怪我人はさすがに不参加だよな。
でもせっかくの晴れ舞台だし。
He turned to Hijikata-san, clearly hoping that the commander might give him special leave to go.
不参加に決まってんだろう。おとなしく屯所で留守をしてやがれ。
土方さん、鬼！この鬼副長！
なんだそれ褒めてんのか。つまきにされたくなきゃ黙ってろ。
Heisuke's mouth snapped shut. I didn't think Hijikata-san would actually stab one of his own men, but neither did I think he would go easy on any of them, even if they were injured.
東堂君、怪我人は足手まといらしいですから、素直に屯所で留守をしましょう。
仕方がねえか。わかった。今回は留守番してるよ。 僕も今回は諦めようかな。参加したいけど本調子じゃないし、ちょっと外で涼んでこようかな。
Okuta sighed and got up to leave. I'm assuming I'll be staying here as well? Kondo-san nodded.
ああ、宗司と平助がダダをこねんよう見張っておいてくれ。
He let out a short laugh and several men grinned. Before long, the Shinsengumi had left for the front, leaving only a handful of soldiers in the silent compound. So, what should I be doing when they're out? Oh, right. Kondo-san had asked me to keep an eye on Okita and Heisuke. I think Okita was in the inner courtyard. To be honest, I was a little concerned for him. He was still recovering, and being out in the cold air wasn't doing him any favors in that regard. Still, that left Heisuke and Sanon-san. Maybe they're still in the common room. Heisuke seemed particularly frustrated at being forced to stay behind, and Sanon-san had been even colder and more distant lately. I was worried for Okita, of course, but I felt there was something deeper affecting the other two. Where should I go? To the common room! I heard Heisuke and someone else talking as I walked down the hall. They were in the common room then.
俺も行きたかったな。別名あるまで屯所で待機とか退屈すぎだって。
I think it was going fine. I think he beat the gym that he was on, which I think is... I think her name is Elisa? I can't remember. Nimbasa City, the electric type gym model. It's been a long time since I visited Unova.
深い傷ではありませんが、大事を取るのは当然でしょう。
Yeah. There were so many emolgas. I warned him there was a lot of Emolgas. He did not heed my warning. It sounded as if Sanan-san was actually trying to cheer Heisuke up. How long had it been since I heard Sanan-san say something nice to someone? He was a very kind man once upon a time. I don't think Midget uploads anything. And I don't think he streams. I think I'm just a streamer. I missed that Sanan-san.
そりゃ確かに怪我は怪我だし、豚書の留守も大事なのは分かってるけど。
君は傷さえ癒えればすぐに新選組の表舞台へ戻れますよ。それに比べて私には日陰者の道しか残されていないのですから。
それはそのなんていうか。
An awkward silence fell over the room. It would have been rude for me to speak up, having left the inn unharmed on that fateful night. But if I pretended to enter for another matter, it would make it clear that I was eavesdropping. The yawning won't go away. I had no choice then. I had to return to my room. As I turned to do so, Sanan-san's voice stopped me cold.
しかし、あの薬を使えば、私も再び剣を取ることができるかもしれません。
Treatment? What did he mean by that? Medicine? But he was already taking the Ishida powder. Unless he was talking about something else.
何考えてんだよ、三男さん。本気で羅刹になるとか言ってんの。
Heisuke shouted at Sanan-san. What was this conversation about? Something about this conversation seemed familiar. I heard them mention something like it around when I first arrived. We were eating dinner together when we'd received the news of Sanan-san's injury.
薬でも何でも使ってもらうしかないですね。三男さんも納得してくれるんじゃないかな。
そうじ、めったなこと言うもんじゃねえ。幹部が羅刹になってどうするんだよ。
They'd mentioned the serum then too. Are they talking about that?
あれは結局失敗になったんだろう。だから宗司とはじめくんが殺すことになったし。
Okuta and Saito had to kill them? That night when an experience I would never forget. Read, brain. That night was an experience I would never forget. But what did it have to do with this treatment?
確かにあの薬は未完成ですが、行動さんさえ見つかれば改良の余地はあります。
Father? What did Father have to do with their treatment? This is a great deal of information to take in. My mind was a hurricane of thoughts, suspicions, and fears trickling through the corners of my mind. Even as I struggled to make sense of what I just heard, I knew that I had stumbled onto something dangerous, something I shouldn't know. Blah blah blah. Suddenly, I wanted very much to be gone. Why did I stay and listen? I was such a fool.
申し訳ありませんが、今の話は他言無用でお願いしますね。
His cold, quiet voice filled the empty hall. Maybe the words that came out of Sanan-san's mouth were directed strictly to Heisuke. Heisuke responded with a furrowed brow.
いや、気持ちはわかるけどさ。俺は絶対に反対だから。
I helplessly felt like those words were directed towards me. I scurried from the air as I grasped my fast-beating heart. Run! If what Sanan-san had suggested really did happen, as silently as I could, I moved down the hall and away from the common room, back to the room I suddenly wished I'd never left. And we're skipping this. Kazuma, Magiri, and Shiranui have interrupted the battle for some fucking reason, and are strange, mysterious men. Oh, we're getting that scene. Oh, we're getting that scene. All right. Why is my throat dry? Nom nom. Nom 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 nom. Okay. I don't want to do the same.
大使募集の件頼むぞ平介。
Wait,
俺も来月には江戸に行くからな。
this involves Heisuke for a second. Hold on. The plan was for Heisuke to hit Edo early and scope the potential men, and have Kondo-san follow behind a month after to make the final say with recruits. Isn't there someone you mentioned wanting to see? I remember you saying something like that.
雪村君はまだ聞いていなかったか。確か名は伊藤さんと言ってたな。北進一刀流の剣客で学もある人らしい。
まあ正直言うと伊藤さんとはそこまで親しいわけじゃないけどさ、多分話は聞いてくれると思う。
I like how they put this part of history in here because it's kind of rumored that Heisuke, the actual real life Heisuke Todo, trained under Ito, but nobody can. I don't think anybody confirmed that. I think that's just what people assume. And I need the air on because it's so hot.
それで十分だ。伊藤さんは尊王派と聞いているが、義を持って話をすれば必ずや力を貸してくれるに違いない。
Kondo-san nodded confidently, but Heisuke looked like he wasn't quite as sure.
よし、それじゃあそろそろ行ってくる。コードさんのこともできるだけ調べとくから期待して待っててくれよ。
Okay, be careful. I watched him go, and the smaller his back became, the lonelier I felt. When I couldn't see him anymore, my heart twinged. I glanced up at Kondo-san. We are skipping this. We're skipping this. But he's excited because he's about to get more warriors to join his cause. And we get this scene. Kondo-san wants to do something for us. And you know what? We're gonna ask him to train us. And the reason is because we want to watch over everyone while you're gone, Kondo-san. We may not be the strongest warrior ever, but I think we sure want to be with Kondo-san's training. Especially because he was a trainer for a dojo. I love this scene though. Bamboo stick in hand, I moved into the familiar stance that I memorized during my training. Like a whip, his harsh words stung as he barked.
いいか、正面から切り合いになった時、真っ先に間合いに入るのは刀であり、刀を持つ手でもある。握りが甘ければ、その時点で容易に刀を落とされてしまう。これは気をつけねばならん。
はい。He hit me with the full blunt of his stringent teachings. I could see he was taking this seriously. He wasn't going easy on me because I was a girl.
今度は固く握りすぎているな。君の場合、腕力の問題で敵の斬撃を正面から受け止めるのは避けるべきだ。となると、自然斬撃を受け流す形になるが、この場合だと逆に固く握りすぎていては。
With Kondo-san's instruction, I practiced swinging the sword over and over, doing my best to learn and retain everything he was teaching me.
もうこんな時間か。
His words brought my head up and I blinked. The sun set without me realizing, pooling below, and the sky was now shades of red and purple. Suddenly, in the real world again, fatigue slammed into me and I collapsed to my knees. Thank you for doing this for me. Every limb was shaking, my clothes completely drenched in sweat. I sucked in air like I couldn't get enough of it. Kondo-san glanced over to me when I fell into the ground, and his strict teachings expression immediately switched to one of deep concern. Dad!
すまなかった雪村君。俺としたことがついつい熱が入ってかなり無茶な練習を。
I'm fine. The fact that you forgot and ended up teaching me that way, even though I'm not your student. Thank you. It made me really happy.
そうか。そう言ってもらえると少しは救われる気がするよ。
His face was a mixture of relief and guilt.
しかし本当にすまなかった。こんな風に稽古をつけるのは久しぶりで、昔を思い出してつい厳しくしてしまったよ。
You mean before you came to Kyoto?
その通り。俺とトシ、宗司に源さんは司令官という道場で天然理心流を学んでね。それ以外に三男君、東堂君、長倉君、原田君が転がり込んでいたよ。そういえば斉藤君も顔を出していたな。今は機会も減ったが、あの頃はよく互いに手合わせもしたものだ。
Alright, we're skipping this scene. I feel so off today. I'm glad I'm not streaming art stream tonight. I need time. I need time to edit and I need time to myself. Now we're on chapter 3. Wait, let me see. Oh! Oh. I know what's going on! Alright.
Yep.
Skipping this, you know, Ito's here. We need a new headquarters. Yagi residence isn't really cutting out for us. And we're gonna get a whole bunch of new men.
我々自主教のじゃ切り捨てサブロさんあなたいとあんけど
Ichikata, you're gonna make this much worse, you dumbass.
ごめんさん新た
とりあえず伊藤さん酒
よろ
今度いい新これがは
犯人は一丁そんとこんこそさんなんすいと言うおむなひじあんなこ近藤さんはいとやだ
we have this scene with Sana-san, don't we? Oh wait, no we don't. So, we choose... Dan! What is that? Hello, Dan. It's you! It's you! We're choosing to investigate. I'm going to muster the courage to look into this. But where should I investigate? I have to do this whole thing, don't I? Yes, I do. My room is in the Yagi house. There are some rooms that I'm not allowed to enter, But the captains live here as well, and I'd finally learned how to navigate the building. There. It goes how? It goes good. However, there was another building that was part of the headquarters for the Shinsengumi aside from the Yagi house. Some of the leaders, along with other warriors, live in the Maekawa house diagonal from Yagi. And Sanan-san, who's injured, had been holed up in the Nambu residence located behind Yagi. Since it's a residence, one cannot just stroll there casually, and since it's barely used by anyone other than Sanan-san, it's a little isolated. Ooh. Neon white. I don't know if I remember what that game is about, or if I had any interest in it. All I remember is the name. If there are secrets being kept from me, then they have to be kept in a place that I'd never think to check. If I were to look into it, it would either be in the sentence. Why? If I were to look for it, it would either be in the forbidden areas of the Ragi residence. Wait, what? English? What? No, my brain's confused after reading that. Huh? Anyway, we investigate the Yagi house. Okay, I see. Ooh, whoops. We investigate. Yes, the Yagi house. It was the night at the Yagi house and dead silent. I tiptoed down the halls as quietly as possible. Huh? Were my ears playing tricks on me, or did someone just walk into the common room? I would be in trouble if someone saw me, so I did my best to blend into the shadows and hide. After a few moments of heart-pounding seclusion, my curiosity got the best of me. I departed my hiding place and crept towards the common room. I peered inside. Inside was Sanan-san. I wonder why. Something felt wrong. I just stood there. What is Sanan-san doing here late at night? I was at a loss. Should I speak to him, or... Before I could make up my mind, he turned. Ooh, it has good character design, you say.
まさか君に見つかるとはね。正直予想していませんでしたよ。
Sanan-san gazed directly at me and muttered.
雪村くん、そこにいるのでしょ？出てきなさい。
He knows we're here! I guess he spotted me. Alright. I gave up and made myself visible to Sanan-san. I'm sorry if it seemed like I was snooping or watching you. Or watching what you were doing.
別に叱るつもりはありませんよ。
You don't plan on scolding me, which, isn't a good sign, because I feel like you scold me every time, Sanan-san. Also, hold on. Ah! I got attacked by mineral water. Or as I call it, spicy water. Hold on. Well, I guess I'll see that after this. I need... Alright. Leave that over there.
夜中に怪しい人影を見かけたら気にかかるのは当然でしょうしね。
It was very subtle, but I noticed something was off in Sanan-san's attitude. He had a peaceful smile, something I hadn't seen for what felt like ages. It was a bit too peaceful, as if his worries had suddenly left him. It was an expression I have never seen since he got injured. Sanan-san, did something good happen?
ええ、ありましたよ。というより、ようやく決心できたと言うべきでしょうか。
Something swished in his hand. Sanan-san, what is that?
これが気になりますか?
After his cryptic reply, he showed me what was in his hand. Sanan was holding a small bottle made from fine idro. The glass was filled with a crimson liquid that looked like a poisonous chemical to me.
これは君の父親である高堂さんが幕府の密使を受けて作った薬です。
What? The shogun had ordered my father to do something?
もともと西洋から渡来したものだそうですよ。人体に劇的な変化をもたらす飛躍としてね。
What do you mean by utterly transform?
単純な表現をすると、筋力や自己治癒力の増強でしょうか。
It sounded like something out of a fairy tale. If such a thing were to truly exist, the serum would be considered a miracle cure, but...
しかし、この薬には致命的な欠陥がありました。
His smile twisted only a little.
強すぎる薬の効能が人の精神を狂わすに至ったのです。薬を飲んだ人間がどうなったか、その姿は君も目にしたことがあります
ね。Of course. I'd seen the result of that madness the night I first met the Shinsengumi. Okata and Saito killed off that monster with the white hair.
君は察しがいいですね。そう、あの時の大使たちですよ。薬を与えられた彼らは理性を失い、血に狂う化け物となり果てました。
Actual vampires? How do I answer this? Not actual vampires, because, well, they're sort of based on vampires, sort of, but they're also based on a rumor that happened around this time called a blood tax, which just scared the crap out of people during this era right now. It's based on vampires, I suppose, but not vampires. But they're similar. I don't know how to put this into words. They've created something very similar. And yes, this was created in, what was it, 2008? So around the times that vampires were becoming very popular, and not just due to Twilight. There were other vampire things around this time, apparently. According to the developers of this game, anyway. Yes, Twilight times. Yeah, yeah. Those were times. At least these sort of vampires are more of a threat. Because they lose themselves. Like, actually lose themselves. His words brought a sharp chill down my spine. How horrible. Oh. I I don't think I would consider Twilight to fit into goth. To be fair. Like actual vampire things and things that are actually good vampire media, yes. Twilight, I would not.
切り合いの最中、血が流れるたびに狂っていては、強靭な肉体を手に入れた意味がありません。
Why does what not surprise you?
コードさんは新選組という実験場でこの薬の改良を行っていたのですよ。
No! My father? Conducting experiments on human beings that made them go mad at the sight of blood? I couldn't believe it. No, I didn't want to believe it. But there was no reason for Sanan-san to lie either. I saw it before my eyes. Then, did father really... Sanan-san shrugged off my disbelief and continued.
しかし残念ながら彼は行方不明となり、薬の研究は中断されてしまいました。コードさんが残した資料をもとにして、私なりに手を加えたものがこれです。
He smirked and shook the bottle gently. The liquid inside sloshed from side to side almost lazily.
その原液をできる限り薄めてあります。
I had so many questions to ask him, but I didn't even know where to start, so I simply spoke the first thing that came to mind. If you drink that, will you be okay? So that serum, will it prevent you from going mad? Elisa.
まだわかりません。誰にも試していないものですから。
His smile faded.
ですが、飲めば私の腕は治ります。薬の調合が成功さえしていれば。
You mean you're actually considering taking it? He had no guarantee that it wouldn't simply kill him outright. And even if he did survive, it might well drive him insane. Sanan-san, please reconsider this. I'm sure there's some other way. You don't need to rely on this.
こんなものにでも頼らなければ、私の腕は治らないのですよ。私はもはや用済みとなった人間です。普通の大使まで陰口を叩いているのは知っています。あなたにはわからないでしょうね。大いなる志を持って同志と共に江戸から登ってきたというのに、何の役にも立てぬままお情けで重職を与えられている私の気持ちなど。
How could you say it's pity? You're a leader here. The Shinsengumi respects and needs you now more than ever. Sanan-san's eyes dotted with melancholy, flashing a brief smile that entertained the idea behind my words.
よく覚えていますよ。
Or really any kind of Nintendo game, Dan, really.
私は剣客としてもこの新選組に必要なのですよね。
Sana-san seemed bitterly focused on the words Hijikata-san said earlier. They really did affect him.
剣客として死に、ただ生きた屍になれというのであれば、人としても死なせてください。
No!
失敗すると決まったわけではありません。 そう分の悪い賭けではありませんよ。
Sana-san smiled as he said that, but there was no way to know what might happen to him. Considering the worst that could happen, I couldn't sit by and allow him to do this. I persuade him! Because I don't feel like screaming today. Thanks, Okita Root. I still don't think you should take that serum. It's a higher chance that it'll fail, right? If the others knew that you were here doing this, they would all try and stop you.
確かに東堂君あたりは落胆するかもしれませんね。彼は人がいいですから。
Although at first he was beginning to reconsider, but my faint hope was shattered with words of resignation.
もし私が死んだら東堂君によろしく伝えてください。
What?
君にまで同情されるとは私も落ちたものです。
Those were his last words. He suddenly gulped down the red liquid stored in the bottle of fine Idro. Oh, he's BRB! BRB! Dad, BRB got the best part. No! The bottle slipped from Sana-san's hands and crashed into 1,000 tiny bits on the floor. Thousands teeny tiny bits. Oh. Okay, I think after this scene I gotta go. As Phil pains. A scarlet drop oozed down from the corner of his lip. Sana-san crumbled to the floor. Sana-san! I paused, uncertain. He had groaned in agony and pulled his hand back to grip his chest over his heart. It's clear he was suffering. Hang in there! I'll go get someone right now! I took a step forward, about to place my hand gently on his back. Ah! His right arm whipped out, almost too fast to see, and threw me across the room. I slammed into the wall and slid to the floor. I could barely breathe. My vision went blurry for a moment. I coughed once and looked up. Just in time to see Sana-san land on top of me, his hands already reaching for my throat. His right arm reached for my throat, and he relentlessly started to choke me. The hands around my throat were Sana-san's, but the man behind them was someone else. His white hair glistened in the dim light. His bright, maddening red eyes showing through his bangs. I knew those eyes. His eyes were the eyes of a predator, not a man. I saw eyes just like the night I arrived in Kyoto. Those creatures in the alley, drenched in blood. Monsters. As he choked me, I desperately tried to keep breathing. No, this wasn't a monster. This was Sana-san. He was still the man I knew. Son. Suddenly, the fingers around my neck loosened. Daddy? Just let me go? I crumbled to the floor and I gasped for air through a throat still red with his handprint. My tearful eyes caught sight of Sana-san, whose hairs now shined white brilliantly.
失敗
in the depth of those red eyes, there was a faint sign of reason. Sana-san, are you back?
雪村君、頼みがあります。今のうちに私を殺してください。
What? His words weren't registering in my head, and I could do nothing but look into his eyes.
薬は失敗です。すでに私の意識はなくなりかけている。このままでは君を殺してしまうでしょう。
No! In this moment, memories of when I first arrived in Kyoto and of the Ikeda incident flashed before me. I witnessed so many deaths in this time. I came to terms with the idea that for a member of the Shinsengumi, death is a constant. But never could I imagine taking someone's life. Most of all, Sanan-san's. No, I can't. I couldn't do that. I mean, you're still you, Sanan-san.
君という子はこんな時だというのに。
I want to say this is the moment that Sanan-san falls in love with Chizuru. I'd like to think that anyway.
それでもやりなさいと言っているんです。
Sana-san shouted at me and grabbed my collar. I could see his red eyes flickering. Sana-san struggled with his remaining willpower to fend against the madness boiling inside of him.
やらなければ君が死ぬのです。この場にたまたま居合わせただけの君にそんな役割を申し付けて申し訳ないとは思いますが。
His right hand slid off my throat, and I felt it land on the hilt of my sword. Huh? What is he doing? As I stood there confused, Sanan-san's fingers wrapped around the handle and began to pull. Oh no. No! Too late, I realized what he meant to do, and I felt ice creep up my spine. Sanan-san, please! You can't! I tried with all my might to pry his arm away and prevent him from drawing the sword, but...
この薬の影響下にあっても心臓さえ止まれば死ねますから。
I can't.
この
He spoke in starts and stops now, as tendrils of madness began to pull him under.
死ぬ。
My sword was now completely drawn, and he pointed it towards his breast over his heart. Sanan-san! Just as the white, shining tip of the blade was about to pierce his heart. Sanan-san screamed in anguish, dropping the sword he was gripping. Sanan-san! What just happened? When I ran towards him, Sanan-san collapsed to the floor. Sanan-san! Hang in there! Sanan-san! I ran over to him and rushed to check his pulse. He's still breathing. He only lost consciousness. This alone gave me a great feeling of relief, but suddenly the door behind me slid open. I rushed to look back when...
Sannan-san.
Okita. Sanan-san, he's... Okita had a cold expression.
どいてくれる?
His eyes narrowed, and I saw them flicker around the room, from Sun-Sun's limp body to myself to the shattered vial. Okita's mouth tightened, and he bent down to lift Sun-Sun off the floor.
あの薬を飲んだ直後って内臓を握りつぶされるぐらい苦しいらしいんだ。多分最初の衝撃に耐えかねて気を失っちゃったんだろうね。
After finding that it wasn't life-threatening, I felt a pang of relief.
でも本当の苦しみはこれからなんだけどね。三男さんにはまだ死んでもらうわけにはいかないから頑張ってもらわなきゃ。
Hey, Dad. His tone was surprisingly detached considering the circumstances, and Okita picked up Sun before leaving the room. Once they left, I heard screaming! Yeah, there was screaming. Once they left, I collapsed to the floor out of supreme exhaustion and slumped into myself. I finally tapped into the secrets of the Shinsengumi. For so long it was kept from me, and now their forbidden secrets were revealed. My mind went blank due to confusion and fear, but I knew what I saw. After Sun collapsed, the captains rushed into the room. They must have heard the commotion from the common room. Everything glowed white after, and I realized that I was in a daze. None of their words stuck in my ear, and I wobbled back to my room.
まったく手間がかかる子だよね、君って。
Okita had taken me back to my room, and I heard him as soon as he opened the door for me.
説明してくれるかな。どうして三男さんと一緒にいたの？
Okita was never particularly pleasant to me, but his tone was even harsher than usual. I felt like there was someone in the common room. I was curious, so I had a look. I found Sun in there. Well, I'm gonna explain it to Okita, so... Oh no, the knife! Okita led lackadaisical. Lackadaisical response seemed disarming, and he just scanned me. Although my mind had cleared somewhat, it was still difficult to keep my thoughts organized. One, however, rose quickly to the surface. Satan! That's new. Is it true that my father had something to do with that? That stuff that Sun drank?
三男さんから聞いたの？それ。あの薬についても。
He said it makes you stronger, but it drives you mad. He fixed his eyes wearily on the ceiling above us, sighing before eventually answering my question.
君は薬をここに持ち込んだ人の娘だし、狂った大使とも実際に会ってるし、少しぐらいなら聞かせてあげてもいいかな。本当なら殺しちゃいたいところだけど。
His manner of speaking was far removed than his usual joking self when he mentioned killing, but this time it felt like he meant it. He could kill me at any time.
薬のことについて何か質問ある？一つくらいなら答えてあげるけど。
No. I desperately searched for the words. Why did the Shinsengumi get involved in something like this?
僕たちの役目は今日を騒がせる不逞老師を取り締まることだけど、簡単な仕事じゃないっていうことぐらい君にだってわかるよね。
Among the Ronin, there are plenty that are actually skilled swordsmen. When I was on rounds, I saw many such men fighting and dueling amongst themselves.
今日に来たばかりの頃はとにかく人手が足りなくてね。
聖天様。
僕たちの名前なんて全然知られてないし、給金だって満足に出なかったからさ。入隊希望者なんてめったにいないし、たまに来ても得体の知れないゴロつきばっかり。そんな時、幕府の人が薬の実験を持ちかけてきたんだ。
An experiment. That must have been what Sun-san was referring to. Well, you knew what the side effects were, and you still made them take it?
もちろん、彼らも承知の上だよ。新選組にはね、局中ハットっていうのがあるんだ。隊をまとめるための決まりみたいなものなんだけど、それに背くと即切腹を申し付けられる。
Cut yourself open?
あれ、何驚いてるの？武士の責任の取り方って言えば切腹しかないじゃない。
Traditionally, when samurai disgraced themselves, they drove their swords into their bellies. I had thought such traditions were obsolete, and that now the worst they do is pretend to cut themselves open with a fan.
でもまあ、どうせ死んじゃうんだし、最後にもう一度役に立ってもらった方がいいでしょ。だから、切腹するか、薬を飲むか、好きな方を選んでもらうことにしたんだ。かわいそうだよね。本当に。
I couldn't think of anything to say. What sort of choice was that? Death by your own hand or madness and death by someone else's? The men that I'd encountered that winter night had their last thoughts as men been hoped they might survive the madness? It sounded horrible.
簡単に強くなれる薬があれば便利だよね。実際は全然大したことなかったんだけど、僕たちでも簡単に切っちゃえるぐらい。
In a moment, I was taken back to that fateful night when Okuta dispatched the warriors with white hair without any effort.
三男さんはこれからどうなるんだろうね。
I was worried too. Was Sun-san okay? Would he change? My stomach was twisting itself into knots. And so the long night broke, and we have this scene before. Where are we going with this? And we're gonna get a new place. Satan. And scene. Move to a new month. It's now June of 1865. Ugh. How far can we go now? Da 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 da. Hey, son. We brought you food, buddy. Na 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 na. Heisuke, out of patrol. We're doing this again. We're skipping a lot, actually. I'm pressing the button as fast as I can. We're skipping through this. I still don't know why my brain really wants myself to cosplay Okita one day. I don't know what it's trying to convince me to do that, or why, rather.
どんな罪で？君って意外と過激だな。
Hair bleaching?
やっ
Damn, you should know what it is. You've been here at least for the second part of a lot of stories. And now we get to go and protect the Shogun. And we get to be a messenger girl. We're skipping through a lot of this. Let's go! And now it needs your castle. Hey, Mickey. I'm surprised you survived, Mickey. Though I suppose that's true to history. Tail like 2 times and then we're coming. Well, one was a flashlight, and the other one, I don't know. It's supposed to come off like Chizuru just saw something, like her mind was playing tricks on her. But I don't know if Sana-san just lost control for a second. See the fast dialogue? I thought it was something. No, it's just me pressing the button, midget. We've seen these scenes too many times. We're saved by Saito and Harada! Hey. Hey, Yamazaki. We're gonna go back to headquarters, apparently. Yep. I pressed. Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait. No. Back. But is the actual correct answer. But figures be like
不安なところ申し訳ないが、俺は副長たちのところへ戻らなくてはならない。皆将軍校の警護に出ているから、今の屯所に大使はほとんど残っていない。沖田さんか東堂さんのところにいるのがいいだろう。そこが最も安全だ。
Okay, understood.
では、後のことは頼んだぞ。
With that, he disappeared back into the darkness. Suddenly, the night felt very quiet. The word demon echoed through my head, and their faces floated in front of my eyes. I'm strong. I shook my head. As the temple came back into focus, I felt very, very alone. As Yamazaki said, I should go find Okita or Heisuke. But whom should I look for? The answer is obviously Heisuke, because we're doing Heisuke's route. The night compounds that I'm so used to felt like a place I didn't know. Nearly all of the members of the Shinsengumi left to guard the Shogun, which meant the compound was still cold and oddly silent. So when I spotted Heisuke, I was quite relieved. Eh? Heisuke?
なんでここにいるんだ？将軍の警護は終わったのか？
Actually, I didn't know where to start. Stumbling over my words more often than not, I poured out the whole story. At the mention of Amagiri, the man who wounded Heisuke at Ikeda, he scowled.
あいつが二条城に。しかもお前を迎えに来たって。
うん。
人違いじゃねえのか。お前にそっくりな誰かと勘違いしてるとか。
I don't think so. I don't know how, but they knew my name.
そっか。なんか気味が悪いよな。
Creepy, creepy, creepy. It's alright though. It's alright now though. But I'm alright now, right?
ああ。ここにいる限り心配はいらねえよ。俺がついてるからさ。
Oh, now the entire that thing that you just mentioned is in my head. Thanks. Thanks. He pounded his chest with one fist and grinned. I felt a little better. There was something about his bravado that was somehow comforting. But, wait. I thought you didn't feel well. Shouldn't you be resting inside? Or better yet, I'll prepare some medicine.
実はさ、違うんだよ。調子が悪いわけじゃなくて。
Kato? What? Why? He looked at me for a moment, then shook his head in defeat.
ただ、警護に行きたくなかったんだ。
What do you mean you didn't want to go? Why? Heisuke seemed to be unsure whether to open up, and he looked up at the night sky for a moment. Nope. I did not, but the meme spread around. Eventually, he slowly but quietly continued speaking.
近藤さんとか土方さんは幕府とか家持公のことをすごく尊敬してるけど、俺はとてもそうは思えなくてさ。
What do you mean by that? God, the fucking nanomachine lines. Christ. I was in disbelief that he would admit to such a thing, so I had to ask.
お前はしばらく江戸に戻ってねえからわからねえのかもしれねえけど。
Oh my god, they play with the cat.
今の江戸はさ、偉人が我が物顔でいろんな建物を建ててて、なのに幕府の役人はそのことを全然気にしてねえみてえでさ。
Find it and send it.
本気で上位をするつもりがあるのか、江戸に住む人たちを守るつもりなんてねえんじゃねえかって思っちまって。こんな状況で将軍上洛って言われてもいろいろ引っかかっちまってさ。それにお前も聞いたんだろ、例の薬の話。
My heart pounded. I did.
あれもさ、もともとは幕府の命令なんだよな。近藤さんたちは頑張って実績を積めば幕府もいずれ認めてくれるって思い込んでるけど、このまま便利にこき使われて捨てられる降参の方が高いんじゃねえかな。
Heisuke.
誤解しないでくれよ。俺別に近藤さんや土方さんのやり方に不満があるわけじゃねえんだ。 やっぱりあの人たちのことは好きだし、ついて生きてって思ったからこうやって一緒に今日に登ってきたんだし。
Heisuke's eyes were filled with confusion and pain, and it hurt my heart seeing them. To be in the predicament of not knowing what's right or wrong, and how to confront being loyal to something you don't believe in. So was that why you invited Ito to the Shinsengumi?
ああ。伊藤さんは政治とか世の中のことに詳しいし、人脈もあるし、タイをいい方向に導いてくれるんじゃねえかって思って。少なくとも今よりは。
As any group grows, it must begin to accept people with differing viewpoints. Size and human nature simply decree it cannot be tightly focused forever. So long as the Shinsengumi fought in the front lines of any war, it will lose friends to death. But how many might it lose, I wondered, to differences of opinion? I did my best to put the thought from my mind. Enjoy the present. Don't worry about the future. That was what I truly believed, and I quietly looked up at the starry sky. Since then, once the rest of the men returned, there was a meeting among the captains. Alright, we can skip this. Who am I? We get to skip a lot. Hey, Ito, you're here because you're upset about medical exams because you had to take your clothes off in front of all of the men. I'm sorry, but we have to skip the Nagakura.
Oh!
Yes, Chad Finger.
Yukimura.
Hey, Yamazaki! It's always like a Wooga again. Oh, did I press the right one? I did it again. Okay, I pressed the right one. Yes, I pressed the right one. More finger! Do do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I keep going back to Pollyanna. Why? I know all about this. I don't need to go over it again. Da 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 da. Keep going. Come on! I gotta get through this scene and another scene. The cleanup. Alright. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Alright, next one. The guide says, it's not any of my business. And we're gonna keep going. Zooming through this chapter, apparently. Hey boys, what you here for? Or are you here to predict me? Right. Da, 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 da. Fuck. I did it again. Why do I keep doing this? So the question's on my head. The thing we're asking is my father. What did become of my father? Did my father really betray the Shogun? I thought he was working for the Shogun. And how was Cosmo so familiar with my father? The more I thought about it, the more I realized just how little I actually knew.
まあ別に尊攘派って言っても 全員が全員長州浪士みたいな奴らじゃねえしさ。そもそもあの風間ってやつが本当のことを言ってるとも限らねえだろ。もしかしたらお前の動揺を誘うために言ってるのかもしれねえし。
そうだな。裏を取らねえ情報を鵜呑みにするのは危険だぜ。
I suppose.
行動さん探しには観察型も動いている。いずれまた情報も入るだろう。
Thank you. As I put the water bottle down. Oh my god, my room has gotten darker. I think the sun has hidden away. I hadn't really expected any of them to be so nice to me. It was a pleasant surprise. The only reason they allowed me to stay was because I was my father's daughter. That hadn't changed. But
とりあえず行動さんが生きてるってことが分かっただけでもよかったじゃねえか。なんか分かったら俺たちもすぐ教えるからさ。無理すんなよ。
of course, thank you. Their words, Heisuke's especially, brightened my spirits a bit. From then on, Matsumoto-sensei visited the compound regularly to check up on the men of the Shinsengumi. Ever since Sana-san had become the leader of the Furies, the group was named as the Fury Corps. So, okay. Da-da-da. Well, continuing on, 1866. Really, midget? Alright, clearing house. Ah. More skipping. I'm sorry we gotta do this a lot, but we gotta do this a lot.
No.
怪我なんてしないわよ。まったくもう無茶しちゃって。
Wow. Alright, we'll keep going.
これ。
み。
これ。そんで、ゆき、あなた。ごめん、ゆき、よろし、な、見た。じゃ
あ。
Bye, son.
よ。
Oh no, Soma! Hi, Soma! The puppy! Hey, Nomura! The other puppy! We're skipping this, we have seen this as well a lot of times.
よーし、お前らは今から俺と剣術稽古だ。
Nagakura's gonna break the fuck out of them. Oh, we're skipping this too. Oh my lord, we're flying through this chapter. Oh, change me to Sanas. Ah! Wait, I did it again. I wasn't. Go back. Why do I keep doing this? Damn it. Anyway, we're wondering about the Furies. Oh no, we get to see. No, we do get to see. No!
Oh, 彼女。
さ、
Da 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 da.
そ
Da da da. Keep going. Where are we heading to? And next. After that, da da da. $1867 January.
Oh, okay.
I think we can skip. Roasted potatoes.
忙しいってことは。お、次。いや、他に欲しい。あ、まあ、そう。
I think we get a scene after this. Maybe? I think we do. Yeah, I think we got a scene. Yep. And December 1867. Okay, now for real, after this scene, we're done for today. As we face the end of the year, we all began preparing ourselves for the end of the year major cleaning of the compounds. One morning, my breath made small white clouds in my room as I dressed, shivering the whole time. It seems especially cold today. I mean, the temple's always pretty cold, but today's seems different. If it's this cold, there may be a few warriors that could catch a cold. I rubbed my hands together and blew on them in a small attempt to warm my frozen fingers. Then I heard someone outside my door, and when they spoke, it was with such energy that, for a moment, I forgot the cold completely.
Oi! 起きてるか?
I recognized that voice. Good morning, Heisuke. Oh, wait. Ohio, Heisuke. Why are you so excited? Did something happen?
いやいやいや、すげえんだって。お前も見てみろよ。
Oh, I know what we're getting. What?
とにかく外に出てみろって。
He grabbed my hand and I stumbled after him. The light was bright and the air was cold, and my eyes snapped shut against both instinctively.
ほら、綺麗だろ。
I slowly opened them again.
Na, すっげえだろ。昨日寝るときは降ってなかったのに。
You're right. This is incredible. How could this much snow fall in one night? It was the same temple courtyard I'd grown used to seeing every day, but now it looked like an entirely different world. Amidst the snow were a few other familiar things. Ohio!
お、来たか。どうだ？意外と積もったもんだろう。
そのせいで今日は寒い寒い。犬も庭を駆け回る寒さってとこだな。
What? Nagakura jerked his head at Heisuke with a grin. Heisuke scowled.
そりゃ寒いに決まってるだろ。新八さんは年中半裸みたいなもんだしな。
You can say the same to Hana, I suppose.
半裸だろうが全裸だろうが大丈夫だろう。新八はなんつうか風邪ひかない系だからな。
見てるだけで寒いよな。せめてなんか一枚羽織ってくれば。
バッカお前。寒いからってこの肉体美を隠すなんぞ罰が当たんぞ。
Nagakura, man of only wanting to show off his body. Or his muscles, I suppose.
それに、佐野だって似たようなもんじゃねえか。な、そう思うよな。
I tried to laugh it off. That wasn't an argument I wanted to be a part of. To be honest though, none of them were dressed for the weather. Although looking at them didn't make me feel cold, per se. Anyway, look at all the snow! There's so much!
だよな。こんだけ雪が降ったんだから遊びたいと思わねえ?
Well, I don't think we have enough snow to make a fort. Do you want to make snow bunnies? I want to make snow bunnies.
おいおい、バカ言っちゃいけねえな。
God damn it.
そんな軟弱な遊び、俺らに似合うわけねえだろ。
軟弱かどうかはともかく、新八が雪うさぎなんて可愛らしいもん作ってたら、俺は笑い死にするぜ。
Then what should we do?
そんなの決まってんだろ。
Uh-oh. Almost in unison, they bent down, began to dig in the snow, and... Wait! A snowball fight?
ごめいと、実はもう組も分けてあるんだ。お前は俺と一緒な。
相方が平助じゃ頼りないだろうが、くじの結果だ。運が悪かったと思ってくれ。
んなことないって。俺がいる限りこいつには絶対当てさせねえし。よし、任せとけ。俺がしっかり守ってやるからな。
They looked excited to begin, but... if I leave my room to go play, Ichikata-san's gonna get mad.
いやいや、これは遊びじゃなくて訓練なんだよ。
What?
そうそう。飛んでくる雪玉を避けることによって反射神経を鍛えるんだ。お、そういうと筋が通ってねえか?
The Baka trio had a plan for once. What is this? It had, right up until he asked if it did. Hmm.
このぐらいじゃ土方さんも怒んないって。な、絶対楽しいから。
Okay. I guess a few minutes couldn't hurt. After all, it wasn't every day the snow fell this thick, so I wanted to make the best of it. I know, but that's because we're skipping so much, and I don't want a lot of this to just be skipping, so I wanted to get to the scenes that aren't normally there. Alright? But this one for real is the last scene we're doing. We're gonna end the chapter, because this is literally the end of the chapter. I dug my hands into the snow and started to pack some projectiles of my own. Before long... I felt a snowball fly through the air near me, barely grazing my arm. Hey! I wasn't ready! I picked up one of mine and threw it back, but I was no match for them. For each snowball they threw, they returned 5 or 6. Oh god! And every single one was aimed at Heisuke. Every single one was aimed at Heisuke. Are you hurt?
大丈夫じゃねえけど大丈夫だ。つうか新八さん、佐野さん、なんで俺ばっかり攻撃するんだよ。
ああ、なんだよ平助。じゃあもう一人を狙えっていうのか。
そうかそうか。俺らを恨むなよ。薄情な平助を恨め。
そんなのダメに決まってんだろ。
I don't think a couple of snowballs are really going to hurt me.
俺の心情的にダメなんだよ。よし、こ なりゃ佐野さんも新発音もどんどん俺に投げてこい。そんなヘナチョコ玉当たってもいて石入ってんだろ。
人聞きの悪いこと言うなって。まあ確かに新八のバカ力で握ると石と大して変わらなくなっちまうがな。
Oh, Jesus Christ. You don't have to take it so seriously. I lobbed a snowball at them in protest, but they dodged it easily. This is frustrating! But they were only getting started. Eisuke had been backed up against a tree by a barrage of snow fire. Oh lord. He seemed to have given up on actually fighting back and was instead wielding a long icicle like a sword and cutting down the incoming snowballs. Was this really a snowball fight?
意外としぶといじゃねえか、平助。
ま、ここまでよく頑張ったよ。だが、これで終わりだ。
どこ投げてんだよ、二人とも。全然大外れだし。
He was right. Their throws seemed to be shooting awfully wide off the mark. Not a single one even came near Heisuke. They all seemed to be hitting the tree behind him. See, sometimes the Bakuchiyo is actually smart. 待って。ちょっと待って。Oh no! Heisuke! Move! But it was too late. He looked up just as the now overloaded branches released their burden. Heisuke! 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 He crawled out from under the snow, ready to continue, but at that moment, Hichikata-san appeared. He was not pleased. It seemed errant snowballs had put holes in several of the sliding doors. Harada and Nagakura took the lion's share of the blame, and the fight was ended then and there. His adventure soaked Heisuke from top to bottom. Fortunately, I had a fire in my room, over which he was drying his hair. Wait. Please tell me we get to see him with his hair down. Please. Stop moving. You're going to catch a cold if you run off with wet hair. His hair was much longer than mine. It was going to take a while for it to dry. As I wiped it carefully with a towel, he smiled a bit. I didn't think he even realized he was doing it.
それにしてもさっきの俺すげえ情けなかった。
What?
ほら、今回は二人がお前を狙わなかったからよかったけどさ。絶対当てさせないなんて言っときながら、実際に狙ってきたら防げたかわかんねえし。今日は完全に負け戦だよな。
He seemed so sad. I'm sorry I couldn't help you out. No, it's my fault. I should have had your back. If I'd have done better, then maybe we could have beaten them.
なんだ、お前って案外過激なやつなんだな。
He smiled. I want to see Heisuke with his hair down, damn it.
そうだな。じゃあ今日はお互いまだまだだったってことで。できればさ、次に雪合戦する時も同じ組でやろうな。
Next time we'll win.
そうだな。また今度な。
He looked at me for a long moment, and I saw his face fall.
な
あ。What is it?
もし仮にさ、自分の中に譲れない信念があって、自分の信じる道を行きたいとする。でも、もしその道を貫くために障害となる相手を排除する必要があるとしたら、お前ならどうする？
For a moment, I just stared at him. The question had been so unexpected, I wasn't sure what to make of it. But it didn't take me long to realize that whatever had prompted the question, it meant a great deal to Heisuke. I chose my words very carefully. I think it's wrong to, get rid of someone just because they're in the way, or because they don't see eye to eye with you. Well, at least that's what I would have said.
昔の？
You know, before? Before. But after spending so much time with the Shinsengumi, I think I'm starting to get it. They're all doing what they do because they believe in what they're fighting for. And the guys on the other side feel the same way. It's not about who's good or who's bad. There are just some people in the world that you're never going to be able to get along with. Of course, I still can't really get behind actually killing people, but...
そうだな。誰とでも簡単に分かり合えるなら、俺たちが戦い続ける必要もないだろうしな。
A samurai is someone who follows the path he thinks is the right one. Isn't that how it works? I don't think it's bad to fight for your beliefs.
そっか。やっぱお前に話してよかったよ。俺さ、自分が正しいと思うものが全てをかけるに足るものかどうか悩んでたんだ。そしてきっと今でもまだ悩んでる。
His voice faded out as he looked down onto the glowing coals.
でも、お前のおかげで吹っ切れた。俺は一人の侍として道を貫こうと思う。
Heisuke? He looked at me and smiled, but behind the smile I could see doubts and sadness and confusion. There was something almost beautiful about it, but it broke my heart. Being a warrior and a member of the Shinsengumi was very important to Heisuke, but I sensed something else was going on, throwing him into turmoil. I didn't know what, but it seemed clear that whatever else he intended to do, it would involve following the path of a warrior, perhaps to his death. Maybe that was to be expected, but it didn't change the fact I hoped he lived. He lived. We sat there for several more minutes in silence. Look, it's the start of the chapter. We are immediately saving. Save. Thank you. Alright. To the title screen. We got a schedule to do. So, no art stream tonight. I'm gonna say we skip it. Because tomorrow night, we're gonna do our charity art stream. So I picked out a sketch that we're gonna do. It's, a pair of characters I haven't done in a while for a scene I had in my head. But still tomorrow at 3 p.m. EST, we are going to do Hakuoki and finish Heisuke's route, because we have 2 more chapters left here. And then 9 p.m. EST, we're going to do our charity art stream for Canada wildfire relief. I'm trying to think of the words on the spot, but my brain is dead. So, with that, I will see you guys next time. Have a good day, good night, drink water, do not die because you didn't drink water, and goodbye.